when Legion Space launched, we had to double or triple
Oh my
tap to get to the
goodness.
quick settings menu, and obviously the
It
start and
was
select
so
swap was
bad.
just awful. So yeah, there's been some
So bad.
huge quality of life improvements that for the better. But I was kind of chime in and say I was waiting for Jerry to kind of say it and say, you use Legion Space?
How you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode. Actually, this is the first official episode of a new podcast that we're planning to do weekly here. This is the Games in Hand podcast, where we'll be talking about the latest when it comes to handheld PCs. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the ROG Ally 2. We're going to be talking about the MSI Claw pricing and also the VRR confusion. Legion Space just got an update, so we're going to talk about that and also the roadmap update for the Lenovo Legion Go. Finally, Steam Deck OLED. We're going to look into this product after all the hype has died down, and we're going to see if each member here has been using it still or have they come back to using the LCD. So that's what we're going to be covering in this video. To get started, I'm going to introduce the panel. We got Jerry from GTP here, and we got Chief right here from Steam Deck Gaming. And to get started, let's just talk about what this is. Let's talk about some of the changes that has happened so far with Games in Hand. So Chief, I'm gonna put you in the spot. Just let the people know, like, what does this new structure with Games in Hand look like now, and how do each member here contribute to that?
Well, yeah, now this is Games in Hand. It's gone from just me from Steam Deck Gaming. We've obviously expanded out to Ace came on board when we started Games in Hand with the focus on the Windows handhelds. And now Jerry's come on board as well. So we've now got the plethora of knowledge across all of the handhelds. So Steam Deck Gaming will obviously remain Steam Deck focused. We started up Ally in Hand for the ROG Ally, Claw in Hand, because we pretty sure that there's going to be a lot going on with the MSI Claw this year, so obviously that's got its own segment. And obviously Games in Hand is still a bit of broadness, but mostly focused on the Lenovo Legion Go now. And with Jerry coming on, Games in Game Tech Planet will be kind of multi-platform and comparison focused. So we've got the range of channels, and a lot of people keep asking, why the split on YouTube, right? And we've got the website, which ties everything together, and our social media that ties everything together. But those of you that have been in the game for YouTube, it's really punishing for multi kind of aspect channels. And it's not great for the audience, because if we have a great background and knowledge and kind of enthusiasm for all of these different handhelds, but we don't expect everyone in our audience to be able to go out and buy 5 different handhelds. Yeah. You're going to be in one of those camp, maybe 2, because you're interested across Steam Deck and the ROG Ally or something. So you don't want to be bombarded with content from handhelds that you're just not interested about. So that's the reason why we keep things separate, is so that you can, on the YouTube side, just get the content that you're interested in. And that doesn't hurt the channels, because you're only watching 1 out of 5 videos that we put out, for example. Right. So that's the structure change. Obviously, Games in Hand website was completely reformatted. So if you do want something to tie all of these together and keep everything up to date on those news, then our website is now the place to do that, because we post all of the handheld articles up there now.
Yeah. Okay, nicely said. Jerry, do you want to tell people who you are and just what is Game Tech Planet gonna look like, and just let people know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So don't be shy, Jerry.
I mean, as you guys know, I started this channel like 4 years ago, and as my chief was saying, variety on YouTube is tough. I didn't know that when I started. I was like, I'm gonna have one channel that does everything, and everyone's gonna love that. And no, that's just not how it works. And it seems like even the past couple of years, it's got even more that way on YouTube. So having to kind of separate things is the only thing that really works. And if you do want to cover 3, 4, 5 devices, you can't put 5 videos a day on one channel and not drown out, what you're doing or overwhelm your audience, or they don't get notifications. So it just makes sense to separate. You guys know we used to do a ton of cloud gaming. That's almost all we covered for a while, waiting for
Yeah.
technology to catch up to something like the handhelds. I know that's what I was waiting for a while. And when that finally happened, and then you guys decided to jump in too, you're kind of going with the plan I wanted to do, which was start breaking apart and creating more handheld channels and go deeper into it. And since you two were already doing that, I said, let's just do that together, and I'll bring the variety of Game Tech Planet, as is, over here on the channel for people that are used to watching things here. There might be less like single focus videos on like just a Steam Deck or just the Legion Go or something, but it gives me more time to hopefully make bigger videos, put all of them in one, get more comparisons where you can see like Deck, Go, Ally, Claw, next to each other in one video, while we push out quicker gameplay and test and things on the other channels. So hopefully it'll work out good for all of us as we move forward, for the viewers and for us to make content.
True. Good point, Jerry. So something you guys might not know, because I feel like we're bringing in a bunch of different audience from GTP, Steam Deck Gaming, and I've been working in Steam Deck review tips as well. As we actually have experience working together previously. We had a cloud gaming channel, like Jerry was saying. So it's pretty cool to just have you guys to work with, because we have a flow of things. We get along pretty well. So for those of you guys who might be concerned, well, how's this all going to work? Just know that we have a history working together, and it's worked pretty well then. So yeah, we're expecting it to go pretty well here.
April of this year, I think it's 4 years when Ace originally asked me to do things with CGX. So yeah, time flies.
Yeah, it did. It's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, 5 years is a long time, man. Jeez Louises. But yeah, it shows though we can tolerate each other for 5 years, still be here doing what we're doing.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we haven't given up yet, so it's like we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
So and the other thing about like for anybody that would be worried in the future, just without going too deep into it, we all three come to this with our own channels. Marchief has Steam Deck Gaming. You have Steam Deck reviews and tips. I have Game Tech Planet. For the most part, those channels will remain us doing our uploads, besides this podcast that I guess is going to be over here on GTP, where you'll see all of us. And then the new channels we have dedicated to the handhelds, you'll see all of us putting content there. So even if there were ever a problem, which there shouldn't be, you'll still continue to get to have your channel that you like. If you're used to SDG or Game Tech Planet, we're just expanding and becoming a nice, fun conglomerate of channels to cover all this and hopefully provide better content to all you guys out there.
Yeah, good point. So with that being said, let's get into the discussion piece of this podcast, right? We're going to start with ROG Ally 2, right? So if you guys didn't know, in India, the vice president of ACES hinted at ROG Ally 2 coming sometime this year, right? So we're going to speculate as to what this might potentially be, when we might see it, and our excitement level for this. So to get started, Chief, are you ready for an ROG Ally 2?
No. Because the ROG Ally 1 isn't finished, as far as I'm concerned. I still don't understand why they released the Z1 non-extreme, and I keep forgetting that the thing even exists.
Right.
Until somebody comments on one of our live videos going, is this the Z1 Extreme or the Z1? I'm like, oh yeah, they made this underpowered thing. That why would anybody buy that? Apologies if somebody has bought that, by the way. But the Z1 Extreme's price point has been lowered so many times now that it does seem to make that irrelevant. I just don't know what they can add, apart from a bigger screen maybe and more RAM, that they would do over and above what they've got. I don't think there is a better chip than the Z1 Extreme on the AMD side right now, unless they went the Intel route like the MSI Claw's doing. But again, there's a lot of speculation, I'm sure we'll come on to that later, about how well that's actually going to perform and what the lifetime of that device is going to be. So unless the Ally 2 comes with an OLED screen that's still VRR, the variable refresh rate, and also say 32 or at least 24 gig of RAM, it's going to be dead in the water as soon as it gets announced. So they've got a lot to kind of live up to, unless there's a new chip that we don't know about that's going to suddenly be groundbreaking in the handheld market.
So what if they went like the Steam Deck OLED route, right? A mid-gen refresh, right? Not like crazy changes, but good enough update to make it more relevant. And again, they don't have to change the price point, right? It can just still be what they're charging current people, right? Maybe put two USBs there, leave the same chipset, right? Making an OLED screen, right? But just like little increment of updates like that. Do you feel like that would or that can warrant version 2 of ROG Ally?
I think if that's all they do is bring out an OLED and add a USB port, it's not going to be good, right? Especially if they drop the variable refresh rate, because that is the major kind
Yeah.
of selling point for the Ally. And I'm not sure about the whole OLED portrait versus landscape screens, whether that's going to be a problem. And that's why I guess there's not VRR on something like the Legion Go and the Steam Deck. But there's problems that introduces, I feel. And no, I don't think it would be big enough. It needs more RAM and it needs a faster or harder
Yeah.
processor or a dedicated GPU of some kind. And if they were going to do something else, they need to get rid of their proprietary
Thank
eGPU as
you.
well, right?
I'm glad you said
Because
that.
there
Yeah.
is so much now coming out in that
Yeah.
market that they have really cornered themselves quite
Yeah.
badly.
I agree. I agree. How about you, Jerry? What's your take? What would you like to see? And do you feel like this is too soon for an RG Ally 2?
This is where it gets really tough because we do get like yearly refreshes on laptops, and I have a hunch a lot of these companies may be looking to do similar things with these handhelds where every year they want to toss out the next one. For the most part, AMD has managed to throw out a new APU every year since 2020 when the Ryzen 4000 series came out, and they would be poised to put out the 8000 series sometime this year. So if it was going to have that, if it was going to have the next chip and some other improvements, then I think it would be fine to go ahead and put it out. If it's going to be a refresh of what they already have, much like Chief is saying, if you're going to do that, there has to be enough improvement there to be worth it. The Steam Deck pulled that off because just overall they improved the Steam Decks entirely with the OLED model, much like Nintendo did with the Switch. I don't think a refreshed OLED model of the Ally could do enough unless they do so much it's almost the next Ally anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to come with like a shrunken die and double the battery life and all these things that this is the Ally, and then next year we'll have the next one. I don't think they'll do that, um, but I don't know. I do think they'll put something out though this year or this summer again, whether it be a refreshed model of these or the next thing.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, personally speaking, I think that a refresh wouldn't be bad. Again, like Chief was saying, get rid of the port. Again, no one's paying $800 for an XG Mobile while they can build a eGPU for way cheaper than that. Some places have those XG Mobiles running for like $1,200, $1,500, which is absolutely ridiculous. So again, two USBs will be welcomed, a bigger screen or a better screen, say it be OLED, whatever the case might be, and keep the same price point. I feel like if they can do that, you know, I can see people easily getting excited for the RG Ally refresh. Let's call it that. Um, I don't, I, I'm not ready for it too. And I was in the Reddit forum, and it seems like a lot of people are not ready for it too yet. For Asus to just
Right.
abandon the RG Ally and bring something new so soon. But Gary, like you were saying though, with the PC market, laptop market, it is a yearly refresh, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how these companies deal with that with the handheld PC space. But
I will
yeah,
say I hope that this the announcement of the MSI Claw and all that. I do hope that that's the last handheld with 16 gigabytes of RAM.
yeah.
It's
Tell me
just
why. Tell me
because
why.
it's to the point with the games that there's just not enough there to share. You take 4 gigs of VRAM, you leave yourself 12, 11.5 by the time you are done, and then you load into your operating system. You got like 5 left for your system
Yeah,
when you jump into a game. And so you're oftentimes choking the GPU a little bit to keep enough system RAM or vice versa. And if you just flat set 8 gigs and forget about it and you split your system RAM in half to 8, you're gonna be okay in certain scenarios, but in most, you're just gimping your CPU side so bad that it gets rough unless you're in such a GPU intensive game that it's just not going to matter. But those are fairly rare. 24 or 32 lets you set 8 and move on with your life. Never worry about it again. Run all the games with 8 gigs of VRAM at 1200p or under, or whatever you're running, and the other 16 to 24 left for your system, you're good. Just stop with the 16 notes. It's really hurting the performance of even the chips we have now.
Yeah.
By kind of choking the system one way or the other. So
right. True. Do you think we'll see this in 2024?
32 gig models or 24 gig models?
No, V2 of ROG
Oh,
Ally.
V2 of
yeah,
of some kind. It's either
okay.
Asus is going to put out a refresh or the V2 to then the next generation. I'm pretty sure it'll happen.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to do the Steam thing and try to wait 2-3 years in between. Steam can do that with the Steam Deck, and the way it's treated is completely different than a normal PC. These guys aren't going to want to wait 3 years in between on PC hardware to put stuff out.
True. I wonder, it's going to be interesting to see like how aggressive they push this. I know with the original ROG Ally, there's a lot of marketing behind it. The whole April 1st like release. I'm curious as to, is this going to be a pillar for Asus when it comes to just sales? And I feel like V2 is going to be huge to see how serious they are with this, right? Are they going to invest the same amount of marketing power behind refresh or ROG Ally 2? So it's going to be.
I think the best thing they've gotten out of V1 of Ally is their ability to work on Armory Crate.
Yes.
Because it's become, that's one of their strong points, to be honest, since launch. It was rough. I'm not going to lie. It was rough in the beginning. But I'll tell you what, they've put a lot of work in, and it's still, in my opinion anyway, right now, one of the best, software overlays that these companies have out there to interact. It's getting really good. So I think it's probably one of the best things they've gotten out of this one.
That's true. All right, so let's move on to the MSI Claw. This device is kind of confusing to me, right? We just got the pricing of it. These rumors of it having BRR, it seems like it's been confirmed that this is now a thing finally. And also just the release date was kind of leaked, but this is for another country. So let's talk about the MSI Claw. How excited are you guys for the MSI Claw? We'll start with Chief here for this one.
Apart from the fact that it hasn't got trackpad, and at least one of them, because we all know how difficult navigating Windows can be without it, I'm actually quite excited for the Claw. Seeing a handheld without an AMD APU in for a change, I just want to see how well it's performing. And from the benchmarks and some of the footage that we've seen of the Core Ultra 5, has been very promising. And the fact that I don't use FSR2 even in quality mode in a lot of games on the handhelds if I can help it, because XESS actually performs slightly worse, but the clarity difference and the quality difference of XESS, even on balanced, is just far superior. So to have native XESS, I'll call it, because it's going to have power built in for the Intel chips, because it's an Intel architecture thing, to be able to use XESS without that performance hit means that we should be able to run XESS quality or ultra quality and still get that performance boost that we would with FSR2. So if it can match, if the Core 5 can match the Z1 Extreme on those levels, then we're set for a really good time with the handhelds, because that means that the Core 7 Ultra should give us a decent enough performance boost. And with the price point of the Core 7 coming out, I think it was $800 for the 1 terabyte model, puts it around the same price as the other handhelds, right? So it's really quite exciting. And maybe that's what's irked Asus or Asus into getting a V2 refresh out, because actually they're a little bit threatened by the Claw, because most people call the Claw Ally V2 because it's the black model that a lot of people wanted. I really do like the black styling. I was very gutted that the ROG Ally only came in white, but it does look absolutely fantastic. So $800 for the top model, which is the 1 terabyte Core Ultra 7, is actually really appealing. The only downside is it still has 16 gig of RAM. So
Yeah.
we've still got to balance that out. But everything else about it, I know they're pitching this AI stuff, and it'll be very interesting to see if that actually works the way that people expect or would like it to, because it could obviously have a detrimental effect over some of the other stuff. So be very interesting to see.
Yeah, you mentioned something that we'll get to here in a bit, but there's rumors of this device having a 32 gig. And Chief, you kind of said something on Discord about how 32 gigs might come later on. So we'll talk about that. But the marketing for this device, I feel like, has been all over the place. And that kind of is concerning to me. But we'll get into that in a bit. Jerry, what's your take on this device, though? How excited are you for it?
Yeah, whenever it was originally announced, I had like tweeted out excited but skeptical. Because a lot of, like, you're talking about marketing and all these different kinds of things, and I've seen every one of these handhelds has been rushed out. There hasn't been one that hasn't been rushed out, and then they figured out. And for Gen ones, I get it. We're the beta testers out here, all buying these things and complaining about how something ain't working and all that. It's all version one stuff to get ready for the real grind the next 2 to 5 years when these companies really get competitive in the handheld PC space, which I think is coming. But besides the skepticism, I'm super excited. Number one, I am an MSI fan. I do build a lot of my PCs out of MSI parts. I always have. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. And then, like Chief, I'm super excited it's Intel coming back finally with the APUs, because as much as I love AMD, huge fan, I'm thirsty for something different to test and to compare to, and throw in the videos and really dig into the XeSS and what does that offer natively with ARC versus what we see on the AMDs and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for it, for the hardware and what's going to happen. I think just be ready for a rough launch. I mean, as everything. I mean, who knows how it's gonna go? But I do know MSI has worked pretty hard for years on like their software side when it comes to like their live update service and that kind of stuff. So they have a lot of infrastructure in place to bring decent software over. So hopefully they'll be able to. But yeah, really excited for it, and hopefully it'll be a decent launch. We'll see.
Wow. Yeah. It would have to set a precedence, considering neither the ROG Ally or Legion Go had a particularly smooth launch.
But you would think they would learn from it, though, right?
You'd hope so. I just wanted to mark that there was one handheld that didn't rush launch because nobody knew it was coming, and that was the Steam Deck OLED. That was a very smooth launch, I think.
Very smooth. Yeah. They were stealth with that launch, man. Very stealth. They released that a week after the Go released, man. It's crazy, crazy. And I like what they did. They sent like units out to like big reviewers to have those reviews like ready on launch day. They definitely planned that one, and Valve did a great job with that launch for sure. But let's talk about the disinformation, misinformation, whatever you want to call it, with VRR. I know the Legion Go struggled with this issue as well, because again, they showed like VRR in the marketing, but then the device launched without it. This same thing, this VRR, then someone confirmed VRR was not there, now it's back on. We also had 32 gig. There's rumors of 32 gigs, and now we find out it's only 16. So does this concern you guys when it comes to just the false marketing or not having the marketing ready for launch? What are your thoughts about this? Is this concerning to you? We'll start with Jerry here.
Well, it makes it concerning if the marketing and even the user's manual out there is not necessarily 100% clear, hardware wise, how ready and baked was the device. And that's what we're kind of talking about when it comes to launch. So while it's something I'm super excited for, and I'm sure in the long term is going to be a pretty great handheld if it works out, it is weird right now. And, even the VRR thing, that has been like, it is, it isn't, it is, and isn't from different reps. The owner's manual right now that was updated in January still doesn't indicate VRR. That's where it says up to 32 gigs of RAM, which is where a lot of people are getting this. There could be something later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's it makes it tough for consumers to kind of plan out what they want to buy, because even small features like VRR, which I look, G-Sync, FreeSync, VRR, I'm a huge fan, and anytime I can use it, I do. I think it's great on the Ally, but do I always miss it on my Legion Go, which I pick up all the time to play? Not necessarily. It depends on
Right.
what I'm playing and that type of thing. So, but some people do care, and it's just to be unclear. And we also don't have release dates. Like certain countries are already pre-ordering. We don't know when other countries can. It's
Yeah.
pre-orders now, but it comes out in April. So it look launch for the Claw is just, it's going to be a little messy. It's going to be a
Yeah.
turbulent few months, I'm sure, for this handheld, but we're here
Right.
for it anyway.
Okay. Chief, how about you? What's your thoughts on just the messaging and marketing and false, if you want to call
So,
that marketing?
going back to what Jerry said earlier, it seems rushed. They obviously scrambled to get something at CES and didn't really think of the fallout of doing so. So I think they wanted to show something at CES, which they did, but they weren't prepared with any marketing material. They weren't prepared with launch dates or prices or spec sheets. So I think the fact that it seems like their plan was or is to have 32 gig because it's in the manual, it was in the original specs or the leaked specs prior to CES or at CES, and then it was revoked and then it was updated and it's 16. But then this manual's come out after they've uploaded a tutorial video on the MSI Claw, but there is still no release date yet. So it's kind of pointing that something's imminent, right? Because why put a user manual tutorial video up on the channel if it's not going to be here for 6 months? You can pre-order it on the Taiwanese MSI site, and it says that it's going to be delivered end of February. It suddenly appeared on some Spanish sites for pre-order for delivery in April. And yeah, there just is no official news. And the whole VRR saga kind of points to the fact that this is a Taiwanese company with no marketing divisions or community management or anything elsewhere. So with Asus, they're kind of used to it. They've got reps all across the world, so they can try and manage that better. You would have thought that MSI would do that, but I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And then we know that Lenovo have US community reps. And even they've admitted that the communication between them hasn't been the best in the past, because obviously the China site used to drop updates and the US team didn't know about it until they obviously woke up the next day and had to deal with things. But I think that's been smoothed out now, hence how we've got like things like the auto update. But with MSI, it just seems like they are very hardware focused and they forget about all the other stuff. And I actually had dealings with MSI quite a few years back when they launched an Omen backpack PC. I don't know if anybody would remember that, or it was a very specialist device. It fitted a niche use case that I was researching at the time. And they had a UK salesman, and he had to keep getting in contact with their main office to try and get information, and it was just horrendous. It obviously doesn't seem to have gelled that way. So I don't know if anybody else has had dealings with MSI directly, but it doesn't seem like they have the global kind of reach and marketing and community setup that we've seen from the other manufacturers so far. So I think a lot of this is them learning, which sucks because they've got something really good and the software actually looks really good from what I can see, much more polished than Legion Space, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. But as we said, the ROG Ally's Armory Crate is absolutely awesome now, but it had a very rough launch. So whether MSI can do the software aspect better than their marketing is still up for grabs at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting launch when we actually get a launch.
True, true. But no, I just want to pull this up because we talked about CES and possibly was this rushed for it. Them being at CES seems to be a really good thing for them. Again, says they've won more than 15 best of CES awards. I don't know how accurate this is, but I think this did make a lot of noise at CES. So kudos to them, I guess, for having it there. But was it rushed for the event? Possibly. But yeah, I personally, I don't know how to feel about this device. I love competition. I think it's good to have more competition in the market. It definitely hurts our wallets because we all are going to get this device because we're going to cover it. But I think it's good. Again, getting Intel in the space as well. A lot of stuff is using AMD. Something that this device is kind of, claiming your hat on is excellent battery life, right? So I'm curious to see how the battery life is going to be for this device. That's what they tell, and I think they said, what's the battery capacity? I think they said 50,000 watts here, right? So it's going to be interesting to see like how Intel ships set is for battery, and also with this 50, I think, thousand mAh battery, how well that is going to be for this device. But yeah, I'm excited. The price is kind of too high for me, but it is what it is. But yeah, any other thoughts about the MSI Claw?
Well, you say about the price, but with the One X coming out at almost double the price, it's
That's a beast, man. That's a three-in-one device.
I
That's
think
a
one of the
three-in-one
reasons why
device.
people are excited for it, even though it's kind of a stumble at CES was good. A lot of people really enjoyed seeing it there and liked it. Is just that Intel kind of being back, and also the fact that you're going to be able to get this Ultra 7 APU from Intel for that price. That's the
True,
thing. It's very
true.
hard right now. If you look at the laptops with this and even some of the other handhelds coming out, they're very expensive. So to get even the Ultra 5, which is looking decent for 7, and then the Ultra 7 Intel for $100 more than AMD at $799 versus the $699 ICUs. I don't think the pricing is actually that far off if it works as well as we're thinking it's going to.
That's a really good point.
that's another point that we keep we talk internally about it, but I don't think we vocalize it that much. The difference of why the Core 5 and Core 7 are such groundbreaking changes for the handheld market, and that's because they're laptop GPUs or
Mm,
APUs. They're not specific handheld kind of custom APUs. So for ROG Ally and Legion Go, if AMD update their drivers and release FreeSync, for example, we have no timeline while AMD and Lenovo scramble to update their drivers to make them compatible and work with the handheld devices. Whereas if Intel release updated Core i5 or i7 drivers, we should be able to get them on the Claw day one, right? Because it's the same chip. There's nothing kind of custom about it apart from the software that then sits over the top of it.
sure. Jerry, you want to say something to that?
No, I mean, it could always change, right? Where they lag behind on drivers, but from what I've heard and seen people talk about, that is the idea that the way this will work, it's just easy for MSI to pull the official update from Intel and just update it when they release it rather than
Yeah,
having to customize it, which would be a big deal because that the whole being behind on drivers is still annoying the crap out of me on the Go and the Ally. It just
yeah,
I hate being behind AMD's official drivers because then we're behind on features, we're behind on fixes for games, and yeah, that can be a pain when it comes to the handheld. So hopefully the Claw doesn't have that issue.
true. That's a good point. All right, so let's move on to Lenovo Legion Go, and we got a huge Legion Space update this week. We've done videos on it. Very exciting stuff. A lot of features that fans have been asking for is now here. Again, you can customize um, your fan curve, right? You have the ability to now lock your FPS count, and um, yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And seeing Lenovo just be consistent with weekly updates, even if they don't add anything, just letting us know what's going on with the Legion Go. It's actually really impressive. They said they would do that every Friday, and they've been quite consistent with it. So I think it's awesome. But just want to talk about the new Legion Space update and also the BIOS update. I believe we got uh, or driver BIOS update. I can't remember. With the Legion Go, how has the experience been with that this week? So we'll start with Chief here.
So this is going to sound really kind of downerish, I guess, on such a big update, but it's all the updates that I don't care about. They're nice updates, but I didn't have trigger dead zone issues. I didn't have, I did have the joystick kind of dead zone issues. So that update a few things back was really good. The the
How
the
about
big
like the
thing,
fan curve? adjustment and also the
I've not
FPS
had any
lock.
cooling problems either, so don't even think the fans were that loud. So I don't.
Not loud, but like being able to
I've
like
got a Steam Deck. Nothing is loud compared to the Steam Deck when you're running Cyberpunk or something for half an
that's
hour.
true. That's
So
true. Yeah.
my Legion Go runs quite cool, even when I'm running at 1200p at like 30-watt custom if I've got it plugged in, because if I unplug it, it's going to drop down to 25 watts and maybe 20 watts when it feels like it. And that's the biggest thing that I have a complaint about, and a lot of other people have been complaining about for some time. They recognize it's a problem, but the custom TDP just doesn't work properly. And it's really, really frustrating, especially as I believe that before this launch, they hinted that this could do 45 watts or something similar,
Yeah.
much higher than the 30-watt capped that we've had. And 30-watt cap doesn't work properly as it is right now. So I really want to unleash more of the power, because it does run really cool. It does run great at 30 watts when it works. So with the MSI Claw coming out saying that that can do potentially 45 watt TDP with the Core i7, I want to see what the Legion Go can do, because I want to just use it more. I love the Legion Go. The only thing that no hardware or software fix is going to change is the fact that they don't have bezels on their controllers, and it really winds me up the way that it digs into the palms of my hand. So I have to rest it on something. But I feel that the power of the Legion Go is still quite held back by the software right now. So while they were nice updates, they're not the right updates. And
Right.
I really feel like it's going to be a shadow over them until they get the battery charge limiting sorted and the TDP stuff fixed. Nobody's going to shut up about it, because they're still not there. And how many months has the Legion Go been out now? And they keep saying that they're going to fix it. So
But I would say yeah, they've been quite consistent with fixing some of the issues, wouldn't you say? I mean, there's still stuff that needs to improve and get worked
well,
on,
again, it
but
was rushed out. So the
it
software
was,
wasn't
it
ready.
was,
It
it
clearly
was.
wasn't tested as much as it kind of needed to be. We've only just got auto VRAM after however many months. And like I said, the TDP is still not working. So they're saying that they want to unleash more power on it, but they can't even get the cap working on it right as it stands today. So it does worry me slightly that there's a bigger problem that they're not telling us about. I know that in the last roadmap update, they said that they need to make three kind of phases of changes to get the TDP customization fully functional.
Hmm.
But they want to get the 30-watt mode at least fixed as soon as possible.
Hmm.
But they've been saying that for now, like the last 2 months. So as much as I want to believe it and that they are making improvements, they have to. Otherwise, people are just going to drop this device when something like the Claw or whatever comes next comes out.
Interesting. Nice take on that. How about you, Jerry? What's your take on the new Legion Space update? And
Well, yeah, the thing is, the longer any of these handhelds are out, the better they get. I mean, the Go's the one that's been out the least amount of time since November, and Lenovo has done a really good job with communication. I think the weekly updates, trying to let everybody know what's going on, even if it's to say, hey, we don't really have an update, but reiterating we're working on it. I'm fine with that. Give us that, because then people don't feel left out. And that's good. I think there's a lot of good quality of life improvements in the update. It's like, like Chief is saying, these aren't going to be updates everyone's looking for. A lot of people really have been harping on the custom TDP slider stuff. Even me a good bit since launch. I showed some in yesterday's video with the update, how I could get it to come down to like 18, 16. And then as soon as I would start to try to sneak it more, it would just boost itself back up. Like I couldn't force it. And lock TDP is not always lock TDP. If I go over on my Ally and I lock that thing down, it's going to stay where I put it. And for testing, for content, this is important. I can't have things moving around. So that is still my biggest annoyance, is just getting things straight with that custom TDP, locking things the way we want it and getting that. But other than that, like the FPS locking, I like, is a good quality of life feature. The turning off of the LED light, the power light when you're charging and stuff, or having that off in general, something the community was asking for, that was included in the update. Longer times before the controllers go to sleep when they're not. That was a big one for me. That's a big quality of life. You disconnect them when they would go to sleep way too quick for me. So you can change that. So a lot of really great stuff in there, but like the core functionality of the device, some of the stuff that needs to be fixed deeper just isn't quite there yet. Give it another 1, 2, 3 months of them continuing to work on everything. It seems like once all these things are out, like 6 months is when we kind of start to get smoothed out. So I've just become accustomed to, let's do launch. It's going to be messy. About 3 months in, it gets better, and in about 6 months, we have what we would consider almost a polished V1 device, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I think Lenovo overall, though, besides some of the important fixes they still need to get on, have been doing a really good job and have done a decent update this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, I echo a lot of the things that you said. Yeah, it takes time, right? And again, this device has been out for what, 3 months, right? 3 4 months. But yeah, it's gonna take time for it to be as good as like Emerald Crate with the ROG Ally, or even nothing's gonna touch Steam Deck. Let's be
No,
real,
but
but
even Steam Deck's launch, man,
it
is
was rough.
nothing
It
like
was rough.
compared to
Yeah,
now. Yeah, they've
yeah,
all even the greatness of the Steam Deck had its
yeah,
problems. But yeah, it got very smoothed out, of course,
yeah.
by now. But yeah, I think they're all doing a pretty good job, though. I can't really complain about Valve, Asus, or Lenovo, really, as far as them
Yeah.
continuing to support these devices, make them better. I think all of this is just getting ready for Gen 2, Gen
True.
3. Like I said, I think we're all beta testers on Gen 1 anyway.
True, true. And yeah, let me ask you guys this question. Do you feel like Legion Space is more responsive? Do you feel like it's more smooth after this update? Or do you feel like it's a placebo effect? Because I think my experience with Legion Space is a lot more like snappy and more responsive. Are you guys having that same thing with your Legion Space? Do you feel
For
like it's more snappy?
me, it is a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
Actually, not just because of this update though. Mine got better with 1.025 or whatever because I had a lot of lag and a lot of issues,
yeah.
and I felt like a lot of that got better on the last update. I certainly didn't get worse on this update. It is, I mean, especially if you go back to launch to now, like launch, you would hit the button, maybe nothing happens,
It's
you would hit
so
the button.
bad.
I mean, it
It's so
was,
bad.
dude, it was
Yeah.
rough. So now I'm like able to kind of like go back and forth. So yeah, it does overall feel a lot better. I just don't know if all that's from this update, but I haven't lost anything.
Okay.
Double,
Eugene?
triple tap.
Wait, what did you? Oh yeah. Tap, tap,
when,
tap.
when
Yeah.
Legion's Face launched, we had to double or triple
Oh my
tap to get to the
goodness.
quick settings menu, and
It,
obviously the
it
start
it
and
was
select
so
swap was
bad.
just awful. So yeah, there's been some
So bad.
huge quality of life improvements
Yeah.
that for the better. But I was kind of chime in and say I was waiting for Jerry to kind of say it and say, "You use Legion Space? Mine's disabled."
Not the left button Legion Space. That is set to never boot and only use it if you absolutely need to go in there to
So
those
let's be
settings.
honest here. When we say Armory
When we
Crate,
say Legion Space, we mean quick access.
The quick access.
we mean quick access, yeah. But when we talk
Yeah.
about ROG Ally and Armory Crate, that thing's our main launcher probably for most of us, and settings management, and then we have the side menu.
Yeah.
Legion Space, we've all disabled it on boot. We only open it by accident sometimes, or to check if there's an update before we kill it off again. So the quick menu, great. The settings have got a lot better. Although I still feel that the performance menu's in the wrong place. I keep going to the wrong menu because the resolution change and the power management are on different screens, which just frustrates me because it's like I can't remember which one I need to go and change my TDP on or change the resolution on. So that would be a nice quality of life improvement to combine those. But yeah, quick settings. I haven't really noticed a difference, but mine was still lagging. I could press the quick settings button and probably count to 4 or 5 before seeing it in quite a few scenarios. So I will have to keep an eye on that again from the latest update. So I've not seen a huge improvement there, but I'm hoping that when we get the GPU fix or the next GPU driver set, things will settle down a little bit more. And obviously, we really, really need that AMD's motion fluid frames now. We've been playing with it on the ROG Ally, and the Legion Go will benefit massively from that.
True. All right, so let's move on to the Steam Deck OLED, right? This device caught everyone by surprise, right? And I feel like a lot of people who bought the Legion Go kind of had a difficult decision to make because this was to still drop a week afterwards. But personally, me, I haven't played mine as much because I have the Steam Deck LCD, which I actually just sold on eBay because that I had it set up the way that I really enjoyed it. So it made it difficult for me to actually appreciate the Steam Deck OLED. So I sold it because I'm like, I need to really start using my OLED. I paid a lot of money for it. So, um, but just want to talk with you guys and see how has the experience been since after the launch and the hype has died down. Are you guys personally still excited about it? Are you guys using it? So let's just start with Jerry here. What's your take on the Steam Deck OLED after the hype is down or died?
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's interesting because I think it got hyped because it was like in the same week as the Go announcement, right? Or release. So like it
Yes.
was like,
Yeah.
oh, like everyone, but it's a refresh of the deck. Now, okay, Legion Go is still like my go-to handheld right now because the freaking screen mostly and
It's
some other things I love
huge.
about it. But I mean, it's gorgeous. I love gaming on it. It's the most immersive handheld I have in front of me right now. But yes, I still grab my Steam Deck OLED a lot because I still like the Steam Deck for emulation. I still think it's gotten great on Windows, and I use EmuDeck on Windows and all that stuff. But I use it on Steam Deck too, and there's just something about the weight of the Steam Deck for my longer gaming. The OLED looks great even on those older games. Like, come on, you can't beat an OLED screen. My battery, like on emulation, depending on what I'm playing, forget about it. 3 to 6 hours. It's just, I can do stretch it out. Um, so for me, yeah, I grab it a lot because I play old games. I'm 42. I love my old stuff from like the late 80s, early 90s, and I have all those games and I go back and I play them all the time on the Steam Deck. So yeah, I grab it all the time when I want to emulate or play some of my easier to play stuff. I don't want to burn up my Legion Go battery. I may be using it for something else, and I grab the OLED a lot. So yeah, I still really love it. I think it's a great handheld, but at the end of the day, it's like, are you, do you want a Windows game or do you want to game on, the handheld that's more console like? And sometimes I want to grab my console like deck and just go at a couple of things I really love to do, and other times I want to grab my Legion Go and get into that. But yeah, I still use it a lot and I still love it and think it's a great handheld for a lot of people to grab.
Awesome. How about you, Chief? What's the experience with OLED?
Well, I got my OLED set up pretty much the day I got it. And what I will say is it's refreshing and also awakening to see just how far the community and the deck has come since I got the LCD. So, like you're saying, you didn't want to use the OLED because it wasn't set up the way you like. Obviously, dove in and reset up my launchers, the decky loader stuff, cryo utilities. Within an hour, I was probably back up to where I needed to be to make it my daily driver again. And
That's
that's
impressive.
phenomenal
Wow.
considering kind of the evolution of like how long it used to just take to install something like the Epic Games launcher or with the non-Steam launchers and decky loader artwork and stuff. It was literally within an hour of booting it up and it doing its software updates. I was installing all my games and I could get away. What I always love about picking up the OLED is, yes, the screen is just gorgeous, but the weight difference is just phenomenal. And the ergonomics of it is just still, I feel, the best out of all the handhelds. So it is always great to just pick up. And for those easier games, I still play Power World quite a lot on the Steam Deck because the performance of Power World is not fantastic great across any of the devices anyway. It does well enough and it's lighter and more comfortable to just sit and play. So I do use it still quite a lot. The Legion Go screen and the power is still superior for a lot of the more heftier games that need a little bit more power. I don't play FPS games on consoles because I'm a PC mouse and keyboard player, so it just frustrates me how bad my aim is on a controller as I'm waving around all the screen and just embarrassing all my teammates. So
Yeah.
if it's a controller kind of type game, real-time strategy, like Granblue, for example, playing recently, they are great to just pick up and play on those devices. But I do feel, it's not so much hype, I think, for the OLED. I think the OLED has taken over. People now, we have to remind ourselves that there is an LCD model because
Yeah.
everybody who got the OLED model will forget that the LCD kind of exists now.
Right.
So I'm not taking anything away from the LCD because the LCD version is still a fantastic device. And people kind of irked at, is the OLED refresh really a good enough upgrade? It is. It's the better battery life, the better screen. It just is better in every aspect. But only if you've used an LCD would you notice that coming up. So if you just get an OLED, then obviously getting the better device from the offset. But if you've got an LCD and you can't afford the upgrade, it's probably not big enough to say that you have to go and get one. You have to sell your LCD to get one. So I do feel like Valve did a very good job of refreshing the device without completely invalidating the LCD.
That's true. Good point. Good point. Yeah, just my experience with it, I would have to say I haven't used it much. That's why I'm selling my LCD. But I remember when I reviewed it for the channel, it it was incredible. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the perfect upgrade for a device, not a Steam Deck 2, but it did so much to just so they did so much to just make the experience a lot better. So kudos to Valve for that, especially like offering the same price point too. So they did good. But now I have a reason to really pick it up and go back and play it. So I'm excited for that.
And you know what you need to do? Something
What?
else I will mention about the Steam Deck OLED that still blows me away is how freaking good the HDR is when you're in a good HDR
Yeah,
game.
dude. Yeah.
It's pretty sick. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
big OLED TV here that I love, and I've
Yeah.
just been becoming an OLED fan more and more
Yeah.
with HDR. It's phenomenal, and that's another reason why I'll pick up the Deck OLED is if I want to play a game in HDR. It's gorgeous.
That's true. I made a HDR video, and it was just an update that added a couple more games to. I think the Resident Evil games now have HDR support. So, yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah,
We'll
because
go
PC
back and test
HDR
it
is
out.
most of the time it's not
Yes,
great, or we don't have
it's
the
not
monitors
great.
for it.
Yeah,
If even if our computer can, it's always been a mess. Valve
yeah,
just like took all that in here and was like, "Here's great HDR PC gaming." Like
yeah.
I gotta say, they have some of the best HDR gaming for PC.
Seriously, it's quite impressive. People give the OLED a lot of credit, but yeah, HDR on that screen is incredible for sure. But fellas, we gotta wrap this up. This was a lot of fun. We'll try and do an episode 2. Let us know in the comments below too. What are your thoughts on this format? Do you guys like this? What would you guys like to see in these podcasts moving forward? But yeah, just want to give each member. I mean, we're all working together, but just let people know like what you guys do and what's coming up on your channel. So we'll start with Chief here.
Yeah, I'm our chief. STG or Steam Deck Gaming is my kind of main channel, and we've got the monthly most played video, which will be out hopefully by the time this goes out, and lots more of the. We've got quite a few big game releases coming up, so lots more testing to come.
It's awesome, Jerry. How about you? What you got coming for GTP?
Yeah, for GTP, we might have some. Well, we're still looking into the Cyberpunk patch to see if there's something worth putting up a multi-platform comparison there, because the 2.11 is kind of a big one for them. Um, some other comparisons that are coming up, and some new guide refreshes because we need to refresh for 2024. And then besides that, I've got some Legion performance stuff that we're getting into for Games in Hand. So I'm working on like a performance video for the Go for there right now, and some stuff for the Ally too. Way too much to name off, but yeah, it's kind of spread out. But that's what's kind of going on right now.
Cool, cool. For me, I have to actually get back to making videos for the Steam Deck channel. I think the last video I made was 8 days ago. So yeah, it's a lot of news. But we've been kind of getting back in the flow with all of us coming together. So be expecting more content there. And again, I'll try to do gameplay for Games in Hand and Ally in Hand as well, and make some MSI videos because, again, like we said in this video, it's been a lot of new information. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys. Stay tuned next week. We should have an episode 2. But yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.